This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Agitavach Rabbi say, Parshas Vayechi, Vayar Yisrael es bnei Yosef. And Yaakov sees the children of Yosef, Vayomer mi eila. And Yaakov says, who are they? Vayomer Yosef. Yosef says, Alaviv, Banayim. They're my children. Asher nosan li Elokim bazeh. That Hashem gave me bazeh. Here, with this. Literally, with this. Says Rashi. What was Yaakov asking, and what was Yosef's response? Says Rashi, Yaakov was asking, Mi eila she'enam ruyin labracha. Who are these children who are fit for blessing? Hera lo Yosef shtar erosin ushtar ksuba. So Yosef said, what do you mean? Here is my shtar kedushin. Here is my shtar ksuba. And Yosef was mevakesh rachamim, and Ruach HaKodesh came back on Yaakov Avinu. But the question is, what did Yosef mean, bazeh? What's the lesson of bazeh? Certainly bazeh refers to something that you could point to, like v'zeh masa hamanayra. But what did Yaakov mean? What did Yosef mean? Asher nasan li Elokim bazeh. The Klausenberger Rebbe in the Sefer Yitzif Piskam has an absolutely brilliant explanation of this pasuk. He writes that when he was a young boy, when he was by the Oistrovtza, Zchus Yagin Aleinu, that the Klausenberger Rebbe said the following lamdas. Yaakov's taina was, these children are not roy lebrach. You know why? Because you married very nice. You have shtar kedushin, shtar ksuba. But I have one question for you. Who were the Edim? Who were your Edim in Mitzrayim? There were no Yidden in Mitzrayim. There were no Edim ksherim. Memela, you have no marriage to asnas. You have no marriage. Your children are born out of wedlock. They're not roy lebracha. You didn't have kedushin kedash Moshe Yisrael. However, says the Klausenberger Rebbe, the truth is the kedushin of Yosef was chal even without Edim. You know why? Because why in general do we need Edim by kedushin? Why can't we use the rule Hoidoas baldin k'meya Edim dami, which means the admission of the party who is affected by the issue is like the testimony of 100 Edim. For example, if I come and say I owe you $100, we don't need Edim that I owe you the $100. Hoidas baldin k'meya Edim dami. The admission of the party is like 100 Edim. So why can't a person say, what do you mean, how do you know I'm married? I'm telling you I'm married. Hoidas baldin is like the testimony of 100 Edim. Why do you need Edim for Kedushin? Why do you need testimony for Kedushin? Let the Baal Davar, let the person who claims he's married, say I am married. That admission is tantamount to 100 Edim. Why can't we use the rule, Hoidas baldin k'mei Edim dami? The answer is, you all remember the Gemara in Kedushin Daf Samach Yamid Beis. The Gemara Kedushin says, Hoidas baldin k'mei Edim dami doesn't work because it's Chav la'achrini. It's Chav la'achrini. Why? What does that mean, it's Chav la'achrini? You can't admit to something and we rely on you if it's to someone else's detriment. So if you're going to be admitting that you married someone, that's nice, you want to be married to her. But now you're usher to all of her relatives. And all of her relatives are usher to you. And so this Kedushin basically is causing an Isser to Kroivim. So since it's causing an Isser to Kroivim, the rule of Hoidas Baldin K'mei Edim Dami does not work. However, the thing is that Yosef was a Mitzrayim. And since Yosef was a Mitzrayim, there were no Jews in Mitzrayim for it to be to their detriment. Since there was no one for it to be to their detriment, so we could employ the rule of Hoidas Baldin K'meya Edim Dami. The only reason Hoidas Baldin K'meya Edim Dami doesn't work is because it causes a loss that's harmful to others, but there were no Yidden around. And therefore Yosef says like this, you want to know who the Edim to my Kedushin were? You want to know how my children are Roy Lebracha? I didn't have a valid halachic wedding? No. Habanayhem asher nasan li Elokim bazeh. These are my children that Hashem gave me bazeh. Because do you know what the source for Hoidas Baldin K'mei Edim Dami? The source of Hoidas Baldin K'mei Edim Dami is the pasuk of Asher Yoymar Ki Huzeh Amoid B'Miktsas. If somebody says, you owe me $100, and the person says back, no, I only owe you $50, then he's taka, is admitting that he owes the $50, and he's chayiv through the procedure and the process and the lamdus of Hoidas Baldin K'mei Edim Dami, which is learned out of the word zeh. So what Yosef is saying is, Banayim, they are my children, Asher nasan li Elokim, that God gave me. How? Bazeh, with zeh. With the lamdas of Hoidas Baldin, Kamei Edim Dami. I don't need Edim, I have Hoidas Baldin, Kamei Edim Dami. So there were no Yisraelim there, so it's not Chav La'achrini. And even if anyone in Mitzrayim was Nisgayer, says the Klausenberger Rebbe, Gershon Nisgayer Kukatan Shenay Ladami, and therefore the Kedushin is valid, Azoizak, the Klausenberger Rebbe. It's interesting, I saw in the Sefer Chavatzel's Hasharoin, that you could be mefalpel on the words of the Klausenberger Rebbe based on the fact that Rashi, Shita, and Kedushin Samachem and Beis, and Tosis and Gittin Daf Dalet Amud Aleph discuss in what way is Kedushin Chavla Achrina, meaning why don't we utilize the principle of Hoidas Baldin Kameya Edem Dami. So it's actually a machlokes Rishonim. Rashi, Kedushin Samachem and Beis, Tosis in Gittin Daf Dalet, they write it's Chavla Achrina because you aser her to your kroivim, and you're aser to her kroivim. So, therefore, according to Rashi, the rule of Hoidas Baldin Kameya Edim Dami would not apply in this case because there were no other Yedin in Mitzrayim. But there's a pashut question. Why don't we say there's another dimension of Hoidas Baldin Kameya Edim Dami, and that is you're asering her l'kulei alma. And that is relevant because now that she's married, very nice you admit she's married, but you aser her l'kulei. In fact, the Rajva writes that the reason why Kedushin is Chavla Achrina is because you aser her akulei alma. Lamaisa, the Rashash asks on Rashi, why didn't Rashi say like the Rajba? So Lefi Rashi, that the Chavla Achrina is you aser her to your kroivim and you're aser to her kroivim, then the words of the Klausenberger Rebbe are good, but according to the Rajba, it still would be difficult. However, there is another question that the Chavatzelos Hasharon asked on Klausenberger Rebbe, and that is, very nice, there were no relatives in Mitzrayim, but the relatives of Yosef were living in Canaan, and by him marrying Asnas, she is now usher to his relatives, and he is usher to her relatives. So what difference does it make that there were no Yisraelim in Mitzrayim, unless you say the following, unless you say, like the Maral says in the Gur Aryeh, that all the Avos and the Shvatim, they only kept the Torah as Gerim would be, and therefore all the rules of Gershon as Gayer, Kukatan Shenola Dami would apply to them, and in that case the Kedushin would not aser her to them midin korva. But in any event, this is the brilliant pshat of the Klausenberger Rebbe in the Yitzif Piskam, that what Yosef's kavana was, Banayim asher nasan li Eloikim bazeh. I wish everyone a good tevach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.